Hey everybody, I'm Matt Savage. Today we're going to be talking about some snare drum tuning. On this drum today, we're going to be using a Black Max on the top, and we're going to be using a clear Ambassador on the bottom. Now that we've got the bottom head tuned up to pitch with the snares tuned correctly from the individual snares, the vertical and the horizontal, we're ready to go on to our top head. When you're taking heads off, make sure you do that in the same increments too. Don't take the tension off of all of one tension rod and then the next one going next to it. Make sure you do a few at a time, go across for a nice even detuning of the head. Once the tension rods are off, take it off, ditch the old head, and this is a good time to get a soft cloth and tip the drum upside down. Maybe just make sure that there's nothing on the bearing edge, and also especially on the inside of the hoop. A lot of times there's stick tape, there's wood chips from your stick, all kinds of goo in there. Make sure you wipe that out good so it's nice and clean. And you take your new head, seat it correctly, make sure it's in the hoop, nice and snug. Now, just like the bottom head, you're going to think about using a little bit of lubrication from the lithium grease and just a dab on the tip of the tension rod or a little bit inside the insert. Tension each one of the tension rods to finger tight all the way around. Once again, it doesn't matter where you start, just make sure you only use fingers to tighten them up all the way around so the tension rods are really making contact with the hoop. Now all the tension rods are finger tightened, we're ready to jump into using the key. Similar to the bottom head, make sure you start at one point. Remember that where that point is. Right now it's straight across from the Remo logo. I'm going to remember where that is, and I'm just going to turn using the key to get a little bit of tension on the head. Okay, there it is, and I'm going to give it like 1.5 turns. You see it spins a little bit till it catches, that's okay, and 1.5. Then I'm going to go to the next one, spin 1.5, and crisscross, spin 1.5, spin 1.5, crisscross 1.5, 1.5, crossed 1 or a half and then 1, spin 1.5. And this should be the last one. 1.5. Okay. So we're continuing to get the pitch up a little bit more and a little bit more. As we get tighter, I suggest using smaller turns, just quarter turns, as you go around the drum. And remember, slow, gentle turns so that the head doesn't stretch but holds its tension. Once we're done with that, we want to take our stick and, just like the bottom head, tap at the edge of the drum in front of each one of the tension rods to make sure we're getting the same pitch all around the drum. I suggest taking the snares off when you do this to be able to hear the pitch a little bit better and the tone. I'm hearing this a little low. Notice how I go pretty close to the edge. You really get to hear that pitch in front of that tension rod, as opposed to in here. A little bit low here, nice and slow. Remember, sometimes the tension rod across from the one you're listening to will have an effect on that. So I'll give this a little bit more tension also. If possible, it's also good to let the head sit overnight. If you have the time, bring it up to just about playing tension, let it sit overnight, and the next day bring it up to the playing tension. The horizontal snare adjustment is over here on the left-hand side of the snare strainer. To get a good snare sound, you have to find the sweet spot where the snares are not too loose and not too tight. To find that, I like to start playing at a piano level, take the snares all the way off. So we just get a tenor drum sound. While you're still tapping, gradually tighten the snares again. Find a good crisp spot at a piano level. Notice that if you were to play forte at this level, it might be a little bit too snary. So I'm going to give it another couple half turns while I continue to tap. Right now I've got a good snare response at a piano level as well as a forte level. Make sure you don't go too far or you'll choke the snares and once again lose all your snare response like this. Not much snare response at all. I'm not going to back it off again. Drum starts to open up again, but like I said, I like to start from the loose adjustment level. Find the crisp sound at a piano to mezzo forte level, and then you'll just need another half a turn or so at the forte level. Okay, so that's it for your basic marching snare tuning. Working on the bottom head, tensioning evenly, going crisscross, making sure you've adjusted the individual snares, the horizontal and the vertical snare adjustment. As far as pitches, everybody has their own different variations and their own options. The optimal thing, the most important thing, is just to make sure that the drum speaks and sings. If the heads are too tight, the head is going to sound, and the drum is going to sound too boxy and not project. If the heads are too low, the drum will sound mushy, won't have good articulation. So continue your experimenting and listen to lots of different groups. Keep researching different players and instructors and their usage of tuning. And I wish you the very best in all your percussion endeavors.